casters will take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters Gamescom casting booth here. I'm angry, and I'm happy, and I'm excited to get into this series. Do you know why Day 9?
I mean, I will give some reasons that will hopefully address what you're implying. Right now, SuperNova, MC, and VortiX are through. They are the top three, and the question is, who's going to be in the first place position? Because in the playoffs, if you get first place, you get to advance to round 2. Everyone else who got second and third has to go to round 1, the round of 16 that will be seed played tomorrow morning. So, if VortiX beats SuperNova, and if MC loses even one game to Hasuabs, then VortiX will be in first place position in the group. If VortiX wins 2-0 and MC wins 2-0, it's a perfect three-way tie, and we'll actually stay here and play tiebreakers, which could possibly go on indefinitely.
Which, in other words, means more games. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, Day 9. And there's another lovely little reason I'm very excited right now. And that's because I get to cast some VortiX, and I am a big fan.
Oh, that's a lot more simple. It's like, do you know why I'm excited? I'm like, well, let me tell you a complicated series of incidences that could go on.
We're going to include some algorithms here in order to be able to determine who is going to be able to come out victorious here. But no, we're going to be casting VortiX. But before we get on to why I'm so excited about that, we have SuperNova here. As he was being Keen and MC during the qualification stages. Now, the interesting thing here is that SuperNova was not initially invited to the tournament. He did not qualify to begin with. It was MMA from Slayers that actually qualified. SuperNova, though, MMA was unable to attend. SuperNova from there on was invited because he was the next person in the list on the line. So, SuperNova here representing, and he's doing pretty good for himself. He is indeed. And then we have VortiX. Now, what can I tell you about him?
Now, VortiX beat 9 players. It's a good number of people to beat.
Yeah.
Daisy Moman Show, Sokka, White Raw, Feast, Koss, and Elfie, and one player who's not even on there, because you'll notice that there are 8 names, and 8 is oftentimes less than 9 Kelaris. The important thing about VortiX is that he plays an incredibly unique style. He plays his own style. It's very drop-oriented, very Baneling Muta-oriented, and it gives so many players so much trouble. He recently went 2-3 with MVP Keen in the recent Team Liquid Star League 4 round of 16, and here he is ready to go up against SuperNova in his best matchup.
Now, whilst I'm very excited to cast VortiX here, at the same time, SuperNova, to me, is like an elevated Keen. He does pretty much everything that Keen will do, but at that little peg higher. No, he's not necessarily as aggressive as Keen. Keen sometimes does bring out all that, major aggression.
One base, all in,
that kind of thing. But SuperNova just showing during this tournament alone that he is a force to be reckoned with, and this is going to be
really
a damn good series.
I was just so thrilled to see him do this Banshee Cloak play against MC and Hasu. Just an aggressive play. Not a lot of Marine Marauder, but the most sicky, amazing, tasty, delicious attack time. He's excited to see what he has here. In game number 1, it's going to be on Ohana. In the top left, there's only 2 players on MTW, and he's one of them. It's MTW SuperNova.
And spawning down in the bottom right-hand corner here, we do have flown all the way in from Spain, brother of Lucifron. Give it up for Carrot 3's VortiX.
Now, I mean, you were talking a lot about being excited to watch VortiX play. In this Zerg vs. Terran matchup, what is it that you're particularly looking forward to?
VortiX has a very, I mean, obviously everyone knows this, he has a very ample practice partner in the form of Lucifron. Now, when we actually approached the World Championship Spain Nationals for Blizzard, we suddenly found out during interviews that VortiX, despite actually end up losing to his brother during the finals in that tournament, he, during practice, goes up against Lucifron and is able to win the majority of the games in practice. Now, from there on, he has such a database and such a wealth of knowledge from his brother going into this kind of matchup that he's able to bring in these furious macro games where he knows that he has to shut down drops on every angle. Yes, of course, players know that, but he knows the timings at which they're going to be coming and every little subtle detail of how a push will look in the mid as the movements are going through the sides here. And Ohana is a big, big kind of map for that. He does like his Ultralisk play going up against Terran.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, it can be devastating. And SuperNova, though, he's a very, very strong contender here against VortiX.
This is interesting. SuperNova is not gassing yet. I honestly would have expected him to go gas Barracks and just do the all-out Hellion Banshee play that we see so many Terrans do. But look at that. There's 2 Barracks going down. I mean, another totally acceptable way to play. Add on 2 more Barracks, then get the 2 Geysers, and do kind of like a Marine with Combat Shield Marauder push. But we haven't really seen anything else quite yet out of SuperNova. He needs to go ahead and get his orbital commands first, but I'm just surprised to see SuperNova not gassing.
Yep, and for now, VortiX is just going to be playing his pretty standard game here. Now, VortiX is one of those players who, after seeing, you know, a very, very quick command center, will be liable to throw down a 3rd base. But more importantly, one thing that VortiX brings to the table here in ZVT specifically is potential aggression after seeing that 2nd command center going down. Now, sometimes, and against, especially against the likes of SuperNova, who is also very liable to throwing down many, many a bunker, probably won't see that from him. No doubt he's seen a lot of SuperNova's games. Hell, a lot of us in general have seen a lot of SuperNova's games because of his stable presence in GSL. And for now, VortiX just chasing away this SCV, and no gas is taken from him just yet.
SuperNova's adding on 2 Marines at a time. Is looking like he wants to do a little bit of Marine aggression. Given how tiny Ohana is, it's a decent map to do that sort of Marine aggression on. Hellions tend to be the flavor of choice on larger maps like Daybreak, and really any map is a good flavor for Hellions. But here, SuperNova is kind of teasing the idea of going for an attack, is getting his factory down now. I'm a little... That is an unusual timing for a factory. I mean, I guess he could just go for Hellion play, but doesn't... Actually, of all things, I think he's just going to get tanks just straight up. That's the only thing that really clicks in my head. Yeah,
normally you would end up seeing, like, Terrans end up having, like, a sufficient bank of, like, I don't know, around 400, 500 gas after applying some Marine pressure, which is something we always see SuperNova do, trying to deny that 3rd location. In fact, he's actually moving down here with these Marines to maybe try and deny a 3rd potential. And SuperNova does this so well. It's something he did exactly the same way against Killer in one of the opening games that I ended up solo casting, but unfortunately you weren't able to see because we were in another series. So this is exactly the same build right now from SuperNova that he used against Killer.
SuperNova forces the cancel, gets the Overlord, instantly sprinting to quite the lead. And how will VortiX answer? It looks like VortiX has a bunch of slow links that will not be able to do much of any damage to these Marines. And this is, I really hope SuperNova... I'm so confused as to what's going on with this factory. I mean, this Marine push at the start, that's fine and dandy and well. This 3rd command center makes sense.
He's going to go for the Banshees. And again, actually, this is, I should have probably iterated this a little bit earlier, but this is exactly the same build. Literally exactly the same, including that Marine poke that he used against Killer in game number 1 on exactly the same map. So, I mean, he's getting Cloak out now. He's going to put on that slightly delayed Banshee aggression, which can sometimes catch players well off guard because the timing is just a little bit wonky here on this map.
I guess, as you know, you're starting to explain what went on in that last match. I guess when you piece it together, it starts to make more sense that if he can deny a 3rd base, it's very difficult to deal with a Banshee follow-up here. We do see VortiX now taking up to that layer. We also see him getting his double upgrades. He's looking a lot, well, actually, he should be getting the double upgrades. Hiding underneath everything are these 2 evolution chambers sitting a little bit idly. But VortiX, I just hope, starts to doing something that looks like the usual VortiX that we know. Maybe a lot of ground units, that wicked good creep spread, because right now everything's been a little stilted by that early Marine poke.
Yeah, and for now, VortiX just getting that creep spread going very, very avidly here. Those Queens providing him with around 10 active creep tumors at this point in order to be able to get that creep going so quickly over across Ohana. And we've said it many, many a time. It's so unsparingly easy to be able to get that going on Ohana because of the one field of plane. And right now, SuperNova poking in with this initial Banshee. Cloak finishing up in just a second, and there's no Spore Crawler to speak of, but he just morphs in that Overseer just a little bit earlier than one would have assumed. Some really nice play here by VortiX.
That's a good little pre-detection going on there. And oh man, that's going to be a difficult set of queens to get away from, but somehow he gets out of there? What? Now SuperNova's going to be skirting around this back edge and no doubt pulling back pretty quickly. VortiX again. He's not your new school modern player. No, he's going to be going straight for that Spire play, and it looks like this Banshee is going to go down. See you later, Banshee.
Bye-bye, Banshee. That creep just getting crazy in the middle here, and he's getting those Mutalisks on the way as well. And again, I really do like Mutalisks on Ohana. There are the potentials here, and actually SuperNova's already going to do it. He's just like setting up that missile turret barrier, so there's not really much of a chance he can actually get into the main to be able to put on some aggression. And in fact, putting missile turrets down right next to each other, that is a little bit of an overstatement. Again, if you actually consider one space to be a 2x2 hex, in the same fashion that the one space is a chess space, then if you place the one missile turret in the same way that a knight would move, then the two missile turrets actually hit the Mutalisks without taking the preceding bounces from those glaive worms. So that is a nice little tip.
Oh, that's an interesting description. Yeah, so for instance, if a turret was placed here.
Yes, exactly.
That is a pretty cool fact. Yeah, VortiX. We'll end up running into some walls either way with those two turrets there. Definitely will be able to do the maximum amount of output damage while taking a little bit of extra damage against those Mutalisks, as you were stating. But VortiX looks like he's doing this really cool, ultra-modern twist on Zergling Baneling. He's going for the double upgrades, but he's only getting 7 Mutas. No more, and then he's instantly going for that Infestation Pit to get that Hive and those Happy Time Infestors. Ooh, free Banshee. Num, num, num.
I'll admit I was slightly confused when I saw him go Spire, because VortiX is very, very proficient with his Infestor play, and advocates that kind of play a lot. And then, transitioning onto the Ultralisk later on really makes for a very, very deadly combination. So he's kind of swung straight to how I was assuming he was going to play. And from here on, he's going to be able to, ramp up a little bit of a containment with those Mutalisks, and he could even potentially try and catch drops, which look at where the drop is heading across these Mutalisks, but the Mutalisks move out of the way.
Oh my God, VortiX with just some atrocious luck.
No, okay. Whoa, he's going to go. No, he's not. Oh,
gosh, VortiX keeps having the spider sense that he needs, but he does not trust in his inner spider, and now everything is planted towards the front. Is VortiX going to see it? Is he going to react in time? The Mutalisks are all the way at the right. This is what they so definitely need to do. A near instant reaction from VortiX. He's watching that mini-map like a hawk. He will lose some drones, but there are no vital tech structures here. He loses 1, 2 drones. Only 2 drones. What an answer from VortiX.
Yeah, 2 things to point out about that. I loved the little move that SuperNova was incorporating there, leading with the Vikings, seeing if the path was clear for this drop aggression. And, he got a few kills. But also there, SuperNova now knows the Hive is on the way. He's dropping scans in the middle of the map to clear up some of this creep, recede that creep so that he's not in as much a psychological disadvantage as well as a physical disadvantage here. But look at this, Link's actually going to push forward. No, but hesitating for just a second. Actually, wisely pulling back. Those siege tanks would have ripped up a lot of those Links.
Another drop by SuperNova, gets just eaten alive. Insta 1A with the entire force. All the troops take it down. SuperNova now pushing up to get into a good position for this frontal push, but not a lot of tanks here, Kalaris.
Not at all. As for now, there's 4 tanks. Can easily be ripped apart here by Zerglings if they're able to get good surface area. And he's actually going to come in from 2 fronts. Really nice fungal growth to kick this engagement off. SuperNova right now gets his tank line entirely decimated, and those Mutalisks are going to clean up the rest.
VortiX gobbles up this force of SuperNova with complete ease, and the Ultralisk Cavern is done. Mutalisk continuing to take down the Medivacs. VortiX actually could have continued to push, but man, the only thing that SuperNova's really having is a bit of an upgrade lead, as we do see the +3 getting started, but We see 3-3 en route for VortiX. We see the chitinous plating from the Ultralisk Cavern. We see 4 Ultralisks. Look at all that orange up in that top tab.
A lovely autumn shades there from VortiX as he continues to power on through this game. And again, you know, VortiX, once he gets to this Ultralisk composition with those upgrades, he feels very, very comfortable as long as he's being able to restrict his opponent in terms of economy. He's not going to get too much chance to be able to do that here as SuperNova tries to establish himself at 4th base. But actually, if he wanted to, with the army size that he does have, and with these Ultralisks on the way, he could actually be able to do so.
VortiX spots the medevac, takes it out. Another drop going on at the back. But again, very few drones falling in the midst of all of this. VortiX has only lost 13 workers, and this is the 4th drop that has happened in the course of this game.
And he has 100 Zerglings on the field, so that adrenal glands is going to benefit him so well against what SuperNova currently has. Again, he only has 6 tanks and 55 Marines here, so it's going to be hard for SuperNova to really transition into a composition that's going to be good against this. And with those 5 Ultralisks, he needs to know about, he does know about the tech, he's adding in some Marauders, but is it going to be in time?
Gosh, SuperNova is pinned on the defense. VortiX charges with the Ultralisks. He might just run away from the tanks. No, he's going to charge headlong into them. I don't know how much I like this. The Mutalisks now taking some massive hits on their own, and VortiX just threw away a lot of his lead.
Oh, he really did. I don't really fully understand that engagement there. Mutalisks actually having to fall back as well, and he just died off to the Marines in the back. And meanwhile, SuperNova does drop once again in this 4th base. Going to be able to kill up quite a few drones in the process. Around 10 extra worker kills there, and another drop heading over to the main.
Gosh, SuperNova is just so aggressive with all of this. It's really kind of stunning that in the midst of his inability to do any pushing at the front, he just says, well, I may as well continue to drill with these drops at the backsides and all these varying angles, but I just don't, it's not really working that well.
Yeah, I feel that this game's going to end up being decided, though, by the Great Aspire that's morphing in right now. He has... SuperNova was a little step behind with that Marauder transition.
Wait.
And whoa!
Oh, where'd the tanks go? VortiX accidentally catches SuperNova way off guard. A free planetary fortress, and VortiX looks like he saw an opportunity, tried to go for it, but again, without a really good angle. I mean, this choke is one of the worst that you can possibly engage at.
That's a lot of Ultralisks. 11 Ultralisks, day 9. That's pretty powerful.
Wow.
And he's going to be able to try and wiggle his way through this map. I don't think he's going to be able to really get the aggression off. But coming back to that Great Aspire that I was on about, he's constantly just committing so much to the Marauders here that he does have 12 Marauders up, yes, but that's potentially not enough. We have another drop going down in the main here to be able to deal with anything that's going on. Nice cleanup there, though. But one of the greatest... Oh, he's just dropping. Stop interrupting me, SuperNova.
SuperNova accidentally... losing a medevac to a Spore Crawler, and VortiX charges the main army. He just lobbed the perfect set of infested Terrans Fungals. SuperNova gets destroyed. The man who is undefeated is on the verge of defeat in this game number 1. VortiX from Spain as ZVT Phenom showing us how it's done on Ohana.
I think VortiX just dunked SuperNova there. That was brutality from those Ultralisks. I think brutal is a fine word to be able to describe Ultralisks and their method of decimation. As VortiX right now, he's just adding on those Corruptors, and again, there's no sign of any kind of Viking transition coming from SuperNova. No, not at all. He needs to reestablish this 4th base. He needs to consider the still looming threat of those Ultralisks. So with these Broodlords on the way, SuperNova is going to have a lot of trouble.
Any expansion at all right now is needed for SuperNova. He's planted down one at the left, completely in vision range. Viking just shoots once at the hatchery and says, I was just kidding, it's cool, we're cool, right? He backs up, and soon enough we're going to have 5 Ultras joined by 8 Broodlords.
Yep, and how many Starpots does he have? He has 1. And nothing else, as he's still producing medevacs here to be able to try and keep his Marauders alive for when those Ultralisks hit. So VortiX here at this point is looking on fire, really. I don't know actually what SuperNova can do at this point to really come back here. He's constantly trying to go for these drops, and it's really nice, but kaboom kabam, dead and done.
8 Broodlords sweeping up to the north side. 11 Corruptors in production. No expansion is here. SuperNova sprinting leftward. And interestingly, VortiX is not even really mining from this expansion. He's been doing all this with just three sets of gas geysers. And there's SuperNova for the first time this game. A tremendous blunder from VortiX. SuperNova is just getting a free hatch and a lot of free drones.
I actually don't mind this decision at all by SuperNova. It's pretty darn fantastic. Going for that kind of base trade-esque maneuver there just to be able to kill off that base while he's trading another potential base at that location. Meanwhile, though, the Broodlord's actually raining down havoc on here. I still don't see. He's got 2 Vikings at any given time in production, but there's a few Corruptors here as well to be able to bolster this. And again, VortiX pushing through the middle here with a very, very strong force. But actually, no, SuperNova's looking pretty good at this point in time.
Oh, the fungals that he needed landed just right. Now with Ling surrounding everything, VortiX just smokes that force and still has Broodlord Corruptor at the 3rd base as a little added bonus. VortiX, what a beast. What incredible ZVT. This has just been a treat to watch, Killaris.
VortiX, again, he made a fan of me a few months ago. He was slowly rising in provenance as he was able to qualify for Intel Extreme Masters, TSL4, etc., etc. And he's just pushing forward now. There's not really a whole lot SuperNova is going to be able to do against the Spanish onslaught here. And for now, SuperNova trying to deal with all of these Ultralisks, but there's so many strong units here for VortiX. 50 supply right now for SuperNova. GG! VortiX with a powerful game at #1.
He just made it look so smooth. I mean, in a general sense, when you get to the Hive tech, I mean, let's say I just tell you, I'm going to go Ultralisk. You manage to get your nice little army mix up. Even if I have a big supply lead with my Ultras, you should be able to crush it with the right mix of units. Even if you didn't prepare. Even if I fooled you and was like, I'm going to go Broodlord, and I lied to you. Even that sort of force can deal pretty well with a Ling Ultralisk force. But VortiX was able to just wreck larger maxed armies with like a half-maxed Ling Ultra Infestor army. And still have Broodlords elsewhere on the map. I mean, this is the stuff that hardly even makes sense on paper when you watch it happen in real life.
I've got to agree. It's difficult to be able to get to that situation where you're that comfortable with the transitions as a Zerg. And actually, I just want to throw out a wild prediction there. I'm not quite sure what our second map will be, but SuperNova is going to go mech. I'm pretty sure he's going to go mech here. He's once he establishes, once that first game is done and dusted, you almost always see him open with bioplay in best of 3. And then in a second game, he almost always goes for mech. We saw it again against Killer. I saw it in qualification stages during the Korean qualifiers against every Zerg he was playing. So it's a pretty interesting kind of prediction, and I've not got too good a map for it, to be honest.
I looked over and I saw the map was Daybreak, and I was like, and you were saying about mech, Killaris. Daybreak is kind of a yucky mech map. Ohana would be much better for mech. It's a little bit thinner to deal with. On Daybreak, it's so easy to do the counterattackings, and you know what I just learned, Killaris?
What is that?
Hasuabs has taken a single match off SKMC. What this means is that if VortiX defeats SuperNova 2-0 or 2-1, it doesn't matter, that will place VortiX